Hi there, everybody. It's Bonnie Low-Kramen here with another episode of Heads Together. It's Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, and I'm here with my assistant, Jennifer Wilner. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
I'm always hesitant to say good afternoon. It's afternoon here in Florida, but in different parts of the world, it's not afternoon. So don't want to alienate anybody, but welcome to the show wherever on the planet you are today. We've lost our TEDx branding. Jen, you had a big week last week.
I did have a big week last week. Thank you very much. And on that note, thank you so much, everybody, for the so sweet LinkedIn comments and text messages and all that stuff for my birthday. It was a very nice number 53.
53. You don't look 53. If I may say so, you don't. Not that there's anything wrong with 53, but very good. So yeah, there was quite the outpouring of birthday wishes for you.
Yeah, definitely.
It was awesome.
Definitely.
It's been a very interesting week in the aftermath of TEDx coming out. The video's been viewed over 10,000 times. So that is pretty cool on, both the TEDx Rutgers Camden website on YouTube, but viewed from my website. So very, very interesting process. And I've been, putting out a message to the community, the workplace community, that not only asking people to watch it, but to share with leaders and recruiters and HR professionals and business school staff. And they are responding. So I have some really interesting meetings scheduled, and just really want to put some energy into having these conversations about the real reasons that people are quitting and this great resignation and what's going to keep people in companies and what is chasing them away, which was the subject of the talk. So feeling great about how much energy there is around that, and I want to keep that going. So any of you who are listening on the call today and in the replay, Jen, you've put in the link for the TEDx talk. So that's great. I've had another couple of things happen in the last week that I wanted to raise and bring up. One is that, I generally hear from assistants from all over to be asked for help to find new work. And inevitably, in order for me to do that, I ask for their resumes.
Of course.
That's a logical thing to do. If in order for me to really put my mind on helping someone find new work, the resume is the first thing that you want to see, that coupled with the LinkedIn profile. And in a few weeks, I'm going to bring in a bona fide recruiter to Heads Together. But for right now, I just want to put out there into the world that I'm seeing a pattern for assistants who have been working as an assistant for a long time, 15, 20, 25 years. And I have to tell you that the job market is plentiful with responsible jobs. Sure. And ageism, while it's still out there, it's still an issue. It's not a big driver for this profession because many companies, many leaders are looking for solid experience. And how do you get experience if you're not of a certain age, right? But what I'm seeing on resumes is an obsolete look to them, where it's all in the same font. It's all Arial, for example. Well, Arial's an old favorite, a generic, one of the fonts that comes with Microsoft Word. And there are giveaways to, it's not that age is a problem, it's the look of the resume having an aged look to it,
Sure.
that it looks old-fashioned, to have language like professional objective up top, underneath contact information, and the contact information that doesn't have a cell phone number, doesn't have a LinkedIn profile link.
Wow.
That indicates a potential lack of tech savviness, that kind of thing. It's interesting. And then there are many articles about how many spaces after a period, and recruiters will just tell you that they want consistency in the resume. And Microsoft Word has some great templates for resumes. So where your name is an interesting font and it's not all in Arial, and that many of the more current resumes feature a column, a skinny column down the left side, and so it's not just all block text.
A little creative,
a bit designed, because essentially a resume is an example of your work product. It's an example of your work,
right?
And
reflection of you.
It is absolutely a reflection of you. In private service, a little photograph would be appropriate. But there's in the resumes, a few resumes I've been seeing lately, there just is this very generic look to them that was the case 20-ish years ago. It's not necessary to put the year you graduated college. It's more important to have current workshops or webinars that you've listened in on to communicate that you are a person who's eager to keep learning. That's more important. Certainly, another giveaway, another necessity is to have your technical proficiencies right on page 1, underneath your summary. They're not really talking about it as a professional objective anymore, but just a professional summary would be a paragraph about what is it that you're looking to do. Just say it.
Good to know.
Hi, Debbie Richards. Welcome. But your resume needs to be able to go through the ATS that companies are using. The tracking system is what Debbie's talking about. What does the A stand for again, Debbie, Jen? I know the TS is tracking system, and they're looking for keywords, aren't they? They're looking for keywords on the softwares that that you've done project management, that automatic. Thank you, Debbie. Automatic tracking systems. And recruiters tell me that they're on LinkedIn all day, and they sometimes are getting 100, 200, 300 resumes for one job. And so they're using that software, the automatic tracking system, in order to find the keywords. Use keywords from their job posting as well. Smart. Absolutely, Debbie. Very smart, where you're reading and with computers, you can have 12 versions of your resume. You just need to be really clear on which version is which and for what kind of position is a particular resume. But you're so right about that. And it pays off if you insert those keywords into your resume. And of course, recruiters are saying never lie. Absolutely, never, ever lie. But certainly your resume can be pointed more heavily into project management if that's what a role seems like it's requiring. I strongly recommend getting support to build your new resume if that's what you're currently involved in doing. I admit I'm not a resume writer, but certainly first stop could be the templates on Microsoft Word, but then go to LinkedIn to look at the people you know and respect and admire, and see the kinds of words. I'm not saying to plagiarize, I'm just saying to utilize that kind of language that is consistent with the kind of work you do. And that attention to that kind of detail will pay off. So I've been saying the same things to different assistants lately. So Debbie, we're talking about this job market that's so hot right now. And I'm eager to know from you, and hi, Claudia Hesk, eager to know from you what's happening. Agreed totally. Old formatting gets passed over, just listing tasks too long, repeating the same responsibilities from job to job, and typos. Oh my gosh. Yes, I know it's not old fashioned to care about grammar and spelling and being consistent. Whatever you think, it's no longer in vogue to have two spaces after a period, just one.
And there's so many free software platforms now that there's no reason for it. I mean,
well, right. But even spell check and Grammarly,
you have to double check. You got to check the checker.
Yes.
It needs a proofer.
But it's super important to inject your personality, your uniqueness into a resume, not meaning it has to be a rainbow of colors, but with the language, it can really help tell your story and what makes you stand out versus somebody else. So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. Recruiters are talking to me about how many jobs there are open right now. Jen, could you read Debbie's?
Sure. Debbie says she has a job search essentials workbook from her company that I can share with any EA who is interested by emailing me.
That is so kind of you, Debbie. If you put your email address in the chat, everyone can grab that. And that's really kind of you. That's what assistants do. They help everyone with this, with whatever it is that is challenging you. But the resume makes some assistants crazier than others, that it's not so easy talking about yourself on paper. Don't make it any longer than 2 pages, and have it match your LinkedIn profile exactly. That's what recruiters are asking for, so that they're consistent, that the number of the years need to match up. They're looking for LinkedIn profile to match the resume exactly. And on LinkedIn, have a great profile photograph, have a really vivid picture image behind your head, the banner image. What's that, Jim?
Yeah, the banner.
And LinkedIn refers to it as the top card image, top card. And by the way, we're having a LinkedIn expert come into the show on March 16th. So she's going to share with us some of the latest stuff on LinkedIn, which is so important for our profession. So I'm eager to help any assistant who is wanting a new position or to get promoted in their current position. And one of the ways to do that is through your resume, and just to paint a picture in writing about who you are. And it's really important for it to not look dated. Okay, so there's that. If you have, Debbie, Claudia, anyone else, if you have any comments, please put them in the chat. Anything to add about that, Jen?
So no pink paper with perfume on it, like Legally Blonde.
Yeah, that makes recruiters crazy too. It's a fine line, isn't it, between being designed and creative versus going over the top. And some recruiters want it in Word, so it can be edited easily. And of course, we know that a PDF can be edited, but it's most easy if you send it in Word. So really, just like everything else, it's about preferences. It's
Mhm.
about asking. Just ask. Ask, how do you prefer it? In PDF, Word? What
Right.
is it that you're wanting? So there's something else that's happened in the last week. And it is that I've had on my website, I have a free ebook about workplace bullying. And Jen and I create posts on LinkedIn and on social media where we promote it because we are well aware of how big a problem it is. But in the last week, there has been this flurry of requests for this free ebook. And Jen, if you
Yep.
can put the link in the chat about
Absolutely.
that, about the free ebook, anti-workplace bullying ebook, completely free. I created it as a resource in response to how big a problem workplace bullying is. But I have noticed an uptick in the number of requests, and coupled with an article that I read, which was putting data behind the fact that here we are in February of 2022, and that there has been an increase in incivility in the workplace, short-tempered people who are behaving in ways that could be deemed as unprofessional. And you've probably seen all the articles how there seems to be an increase in bad behavior on airplanes. They're turning, besides the one where the snake was on the plane, they had to turn that one around. Where people who are behaving badly on airplanes for whatever reason.
You're just cranky.
There seems to be a crankiness, ill-tempered, short-tempered. Wondering, Claudia, Debbie, if you have any comments about that. Are you observing that in the workplace, out in the world? And if so, what are your company leaders doing about it? What is there to be done? And it seems to me like the assistants are on the front lines. And what's interesting about the request for the workplace bullying ebook is that it's from all over the world. It's not only the United States. There's Japan, there's Africa, there's Europe. It's to the point where it seems like there's absolutely something going on globally.
People are just so fed up with, inflation and COVID and the next whatever form of it, and hello here, winter. We're pretty cranky here in the Northeast with winter. But not just us.
But other winters have been bad too.
Yeah,
and
we didn't have a pandemic.
Right. The article was talking about the fallout from the pandemic and how it's particularly hard on women. And we know that the profession of assistants is 95 to 98% female. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Good to see your name here. Debbie's saying that she's not seeing the toxic behaviors at her company, but out in the world in general. And so the question always becomes, okay, so what do we do now? What do we do about it? And I fear that it's not going to get less anytime really soon. So we need to be prepared for, well, what happens when it's right in front of us. And I suspect that's why there's been such an increase in the desire to have that ebook where there is material about what happens when someone gets really snarky with you. And you can do something as simple as say, ouch, that hurt my feelings. Do you want to tell me what you mean by that? I'd really like to understand why. Can you say that again? Can you repeat? let's make sure I understand what you just said. So we get how there can be short-temperedness out in the world, but is that an excuse for acting it out in the workplace? I would argue that we have a leg to stand on to push back on that. So, thoughts about that, Jen?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the world needs a great big hug. And sometimes it's those cranky people that are acting out that's what they really need. They need a hug. They need more. They need someone to talk to.
Mm.
They need to go take a walk, hug a dog.
Yeah.
And if you have dog allergies, then someone to hug you from behind.
There's just
I'm not making
still,
light of it.
What's persisting, and we've been talking about it for months, but what is persisting is this uncertainty in the workplace. Like, we don't know when we're going back full time, if we're ever going back, and what the schedule's going to be. So, for assistants, it's kind of the perfect storm for making us nuts, because we're in the business of, the details and knowing what's happening next week, next month, next year. And we're having to always feel like Serena Williams on the balls of our feet. That's like, all right, where's the ball going today? Mm-hmm. And where's it going tomorrow? It's changing so quickly. So these articles are then taking it a step further to discuss the mental health issues that are arising, causing people to sometimes having to take sick days off from work and to get medication and to be dealing with that. So these toxic, cranky behaviors can then have this spiral domino effect. And what concerns me about all of this is that it's destabilizing. Jen, you saw what happened just in light of when you got your booster shot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
What happened in your life those days?
I was down for the count for like 2 days.
And it disrupted your life.
Disrupted big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And that's a booster shot. That's something that, you could schedule it.
Yeah, I literally scheduled it on purpose for Friday, knowing that I had the weekend to
So you did that, and it still was such a disruption in your life.
Absolutely.
So what is concerning me is not, for you and I, it was cool. We, it was great communication, and we dealt with whatever we needed to deal with, and, always prioritized. But in the bigger world out there, that the toxic behaviors, the crankiness, the mental health issues that are arising are causing an instability in companies that's going to need to be addressed as we go forward. And I see that assistants are on the front lines of that and have an opportunity to be a part of the solution, because you see and hear everything. So it can be that you're able to alert your leaders to what you're seeing as the trouble spots. The assistants are famous for being able to see the train down the track, like way before leaders do.
And thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anticipating
it. Yes. You're the queens and kings of anticipation. So that is my concern. We'll see how that plays out. But if that is true, if we believe that these things are happening, then it seems to me we can just be on heightened alert to the people around us and what's happening with them, because it's a different ballgame than it was. Like, we're coming up on 2 years from March 2020.
Goodness.
And in a million years, none of us thought that March of 2020 was going to happen the way it did.
Right.
And second of all, we never thought that it would last this long. and
No.
it would have played
Not
out
at
in
all.
this particular way. So it's interesting and a little nerve-wracking to think what the remainder of the year is going to play out to be. And hopefully these variants are going to calm the heck down and we can get back to some semblance of normalcy, whatever that means. we should do a show on that. But
travel and events in person and
yeah. So Jen, if you could put on the scroll, we are taking next week off. We are not going to be here next Wednesday, but we are going to be back on Wednesday, March 2nd. And guess what? Our very own Jennifer Wilner will be presenting. Because Jen, what are you going to be talking about on March 2nd?
we're going to be talking about LinkedIn
And
some tips and tricks and things to know about. So
yeah. And so you're going to be talking about it on March 2nd. Then we've got still another guest on March 16th talking about it. You heard it right. That LinkedIn is that important that it deserves that kind of focus. And we've got some really interesting guest speakers lined up over these next few weeks. And as I said, we're going to be bringing in a recruiter to talk more about the job search and resumes and the do's and the don'ts, because as plentiful as the jobs are right now, there are some particular ways to go about finding them, along with the ATS system that Debbie talked about. So next week, we're not going to be here. Certainly hope that you will check out the new things on my website, BonnieLow-Kramen.com. We are posting a new article tomorrow about backup. We talked about it some last week, about the need for backup, the need to have somebody else covering us when we take time off for a vacation. Yes, what a concept. And or if you get sick or someone in your house gets sick and you need to take time off. So we're aiming to tackle the issues that are troublesome in our workplace. So Jen, I want to thank you as always. Excited to learn from you on March 2nd, as I always do. And thank you, Debbie and Claudia and everyone for joining us from wherever in the world you are. Wishing you a great 2 weeks. And I think that is it. Please check out the free ebook for workplace bullying if you or someone you know needs that material. There's also material on the website on the free resources tab about being an ally and anti-racist material. That's really so important in our workplace. So until next time, see you on Wednesday, March 2nd. Thanks so much for joining us.
Take care, everybody.